Hello! Hello! Thank you guys so much for coming. Hello, my name is Jesus. I'm from Nazareth, and you're all very welcome to what is essentially my comeback tour. As you can see, I've lost the long hair and the white robes because I can tell that you guys are far too young to remember my last live gig back in '33. But hopefully some of you will be familiar with my early material. I know there's some confusion nowadays about what kind of an act I was. Some people think I was some kind of magician, walking on water and curing leprosy, that sort of thing. But to be honest, the core of any performance I ever did was always just talking to the audience, telling them stories about my life and my childhood, and going off on tangents that didn't necessarily go anywhere. The basis of what you now know as stand-up comedy. But even in my own time, people got confused, and the miracle-based stuff was always more popular. Towards the end of my career, I was on the dinner circuit quite a lot. And even then, the last miracle-based gig I did, 5,000 people showed up. It was brilliant. A bit of a catering nightmare, but we sorted it out. Whereas the last straight stand-up gig I did, only 12 people turned up. And between you and me, they were all close personal friends, so kind of embarrassing. Probably my favourite gig, looking back, was the opening night of the sermon tour. Jesus live on the Mount. Yeah? And I had this whole routine about blessing different groups of people. And look, I know it's not terribly original now, but the first time I said, "Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth," the crowd was in stitches. Huh? But the problem with comedy, as you guys have just illustrated, is that it ages very quickly, yeah? Stuff that's funny, it just doesn't become funny after a while. Back in the 1970s, Monty Python, incredibly cutting-edge humour. Now it's, pretty old hat. It's often been ruined by Monty Python fans quoting all the sketches verbatim. And if you find Monty Python fans annoying, look at the people who go round reciting my material. Thank you. Exactly. Huh? I'll be honest, the reason I've been off the comedy scene this long and the reason I've lost the hair is because some of my fans scare the life out of me. Now, don't get me wrong, it's lovely to inspire people. You guys coming out or getting the DVD, really appreciate it. Thank you. But there is a line, right? There are quite a lot of people who seem to think it's perfectly normal to get together in groups, to listen to how amazing I am for an hour every week in a special building, okay? That's kind of borderline. And have you met the people who will just stop you in the street and just start telling you spontaneously about how much they love me and how I've changed their life and trying to get you to buy my book? Yeah? You know those people? Yeah, and the way they talk, you'd think I was around their house twice a week to drink tea and play Scrabble. I'm not. Have you ever been to their houses? Pictures and statues of me in every single room. That is too far, okay? Starting a war in my name is off the fucking radar. Sorry, Dad, sorry. And I mentioned Monty Python in passing there. I just want to put on record from the beginning that the life of Brian was a disgrace. They ripped off so many of my best jokes. And look, according to the Monty Python legal team, who I have to say are quite nice guys, I was expecting the Spanish Inquisition, they're actually fairly decent, right? According to them, the material was, by that stage, out of copyright, right? And depending on the jurisdiction, copyright law generally says that either 50 or 70 years after you die, your stuff can be used by anyone, right? And let's be fair about this. Obviously, Monty Python's Life of Brian was more than 70 years after my death. I'm not disputing that, right? But that law blatantly discriminates against the resurrected. Or as we prefer to be known now, the mortally challenged. So I thought maybe I'll just rip off some Monty Python jokes in my show and see how they like it. And I know that might sound slightly petty perhaps, but you have to understand the Monty Python case is actually very small beer compared to my ongoing legal struggle to get royalties from every sale of the Bible. That's where the real money is. So I'm aware that we probably have some quite, sharp-witted, quite sceptical people in the room. A few of you will probably have already noticed that I've covered over the stigmata. Yeah? For a number of reasons. Eating a packet of M&Ms is a nightmare. But also, I mean, there were quite legitimate health and safety concerns, which I think you will appreciate. I mean, you know, obviously I lived 2,000 years ago, I didn't use drugs, and my mother's a virgin. So I'm in a very low risk category for AIDS. But, you know, working with the sick and with prostitutes, you know, you can't be too careful. You can't walk around with big open wounds in your hands, you know. I can't take any chances. Every week, 1 billion Catholics drink my blood. I mean, that would be a disaster. If nothing else, how would I tell the Pope? Hi, Your Holiness. Listen, there's been a development you need to know about. Do you want to hear the good news or the bad news first? Okay, well, the good news is I didn't use a condom.